did you know that there is a large difference between grass-fed whey isolate that is sourced here in the US compared to the UK and other countries? So the UK and Irish cows spend more time grazing outdoors. Often like 95% minimum of their diet is from live grasses and forage. And then we've got the nutrient profile. So the milk from these cows consistently show higher levels of beneficial nutrients like omega-3s, your CLAs, your beta-carotene, your vitamins E and K. And these compounds have clinically been validated for the effects on heart health, burning fat, and inflammation. And then we have the lower contamination risk. And now UK and EU farming has much stricter regulations on antibiotics, on hormones, heavy metals, compared to most of the US dairy system. So healthier cows, of course, better or healthier milk and superior protein. Hello, everybody. This is Kris Gethin here, and welcome back to another episode of the Kris Gethin Podcast. We have a doozy for you because we're talking about everybody's favorite food or macro, or you want to call it, and that is protein. If you are into athletic performance, bodybuilding, recovery, then you know the importance of protein, baby. So today we're going to talk about grass-fed whey isolate, though, derived from UK versus US sourcing. So we know that protein is important, and we see the protein powders on the shelves. We know for the most part the differences between the blends, the concentrates, the caseins, and the isolates, and the grass-feds. But did you know that there is a large difference between grass-fed whey isolate that is sourced here in the US compared to the UK and other countries? So let's talk about that. Let's put a spotlight on these foundational supplements. And of course, we know that some have artificial sweeteners, some don't, and artificial colors, and just some have, I have no idea why, have refined vegetable oils in there as well. But anyway, let's talk about this, and let's clarify something. True grass-fed isn't just marketing. It's about the cows getting the majority of their diet from open pastures, not from feedlot grains or a few weeks on green before milking. And then, put it onto grains, because a lot of them are actually grass started and grain finished, or the other way around. So let's talk about the pasture-raised system. So the UK and Irish cows spend more time grazing outdoors. Often like 90%, 95% minimum of their diet is from live grasses and forage. And then we've got the nutrient profile. So the milk from these cows consistently show higher levels of beneficial nutrients like omega-3s, your CLAs, your beta-carotene, your vitamins E and K. And these compounds have clinically been validated for the effects on heart health, burning fat, and inflammation. And then we have the lower contamination risk. And now UK and EU farming has much stricter regulations on antibiotics, on hormones, heavy metals, compared to most of the US dairy systems. And the result, of course, you got to get cleaner inputs and a lower risk of contamination. And then we move on to the welfare and the sustainability. So the UK regulations and third-party certifications mean that cows are raised in better welfare conditions with the environmental stewardship in mind. So healthier cows, of course, better or healthier milk and superior protein. And then we go on to like the section 2, the US grass-fed whey, and why it's not always what you think. So you do have label loopholes. In the US, the grass-fed isn't federally regulated for dairy proteins, meaning the cows may only be grass-fed a part of the year, or the claim reflects finished in a diet, not lifetime. So a lot of the time they could be grass finished, even though the majority of their life have been on grains. It is crazy. And then the supplemental grains, many of the US farms supplement grass with grain, especially during the winter or poor weather, leading to inconsistent nutrient profiles and a less pronounced grass-fed effect in the whey protein. And then we've got the quality control. We have a higher risk of heavy metals or synthetic pollutant contamination, especially in mass market products from the US conventional dairies, which is very, very concerning. And then is grass-fed always like superior? Let's talk about the science. So grass-fed whey generally has better levels of omega-3s, the CLA and fat-soluble vitamins, when fat remains in the powder. However, most whey isolates remove all that fat. So the protein fractions, not the fats, are the distinguishing factor. So let's talk about that. So what is better? The UK, what's better about the UK and Irish fed whey? Well, it has higher immune peptides and bioactive fractions, meaning the immunoglobulins, which are very, very gut, which is due to the dairy quality and the unique breed and land management. And as we know, if we've got more immunoglobulins, better gut health, better hormonal production, better integrity. So, and you have the low risk of hidden contaminants or hormonal residue and unwanted antibiotics. But then let's talk about something else that we find in a lot of these healthy proteins: artificial sweeteners. Okay, so number one, we have the natural sweeteners like our stevia and our monk fruit. That supports healthy blood sugar. They have less negative impact on the gut microbiome and are associated with improved metabolic and inflammatory profiles. But then we have the artificial sweeteners. Let's talk about ACE-K or sucralose. They've been linked in some studies for increased insulin resistance, cravings, gut dysbiosis, and in rare cases, adverse reactions for mostly the sensitive individuals, and long-term effects that we have for the natural sweeteners that they may help or prevent metabolic syndrome, whereas the high intake of the artificial types remains very controversial, especially for those who have health concerns. So why are the UK pasture-raised, naturally sweetened isolates lead the pack? So sourcing genuine certified cows from the EU, Europe, living on grass-fed, and they forage. The manufacturing, which is the cleanest possible process, cold microfiltration to maximize the protein stability and minimize contaminants, and often third-party tested for purity. And if they're not, which they are, we at Unmatched Supplements third-party test our batches as well. And we have it manufactured in a CGMP facility. So, and the product basically has no unnecessary fillers, no anti-caking agents, synthetic flavors and sweeteners and colors. The sweeteners that we use are stevia, so that's non-insulin spiking. The taste and mixability is higher because of the pasture source and quality filtration. The UK pasture whey mixes easier, tastes cleaner, and is much easier on the digestion, especially for those who struggle with heavier artificially flavored whey proteins. And the net result is that you get more of a bioactive protein, so you absorb more of those fractions, easier to absorb, fewer allergens, fewer contaminants, less inflammation, and the supplement actually works with your health as opposed to taking away from it. So, the practical applications for fat loss, muscle gain, recovery, I'd suggest that you prioritize something outside of the US, like the UK, raised fed whey isolate, especially from a source like the Unmatched Supplements that has no lactose. You don't want the lactose. It can be pro-inflammatory for some and cause a lot of gut issues for others. And of course, it is a sugar, it's an OS, a sucrose, a lactose, a fructose. And for overall health, you want to choose your naturally sweetened products, minimally processed, and you support not just your body, but also better animal welfare and planetary sustainability. And for taste, the digestibility and a peace of mind, avoid the artificial sweeteners, invest in products that have a full list of sourcing and testing transparency. If you contact us, we will give you the COAs, we will give you the third-party testing. We have nothing to hide. And that is one of the reasons why I wanted to start Unmatched Supplements, is because I care about my health, I care about my health span, I care about reducing my biological age, but I also care about performance. I want to recover. I want to have something that's going to kill my cravings, and I put it in my cream of rice. I have it by itself. I'm going to be traveling to the UK next week and to Italy the week after. I'm going to have my grass-fed whey protein isolate with me just in case I can't get a meal in. You know, it's very easy. It's very convenient. It kind of kills inconvenience, but I'm not killing myself slowly in the process either. So, you know, just buyer beware. When you go into your local GNC or your vitamin shop and you see protein tubs up there, look at the label, look at the back. Look at the weight as well. This is one thing that I wanted to touch on as well. Our containers at Unmatched are filled to the very top. But if you look at it on a shelf next to other proteins, it looks like a very small container. A lot of the time, ours weighs more than that bigger container. We just don't half fill our containers. We have them filled to the top. So there's a lot of perception that marketing is putting out there that are kind of duping people. And then on the back, if it says like concentrates, it says caseins, it's a milk protein isolate instead of a whey protein isolate, you know you are getting much, much cheaper forms that aren't necessarily easier on the gut or easier to digest. And then, of course, you put artificial sweeteners, you put like vegetable oils in there, you put sugars, you have a lot of crap in there. These binders, like I said, your refined vegetable oils, you're not getting what you're paid for, and you're going to pay for it in the future. So please, buyer beware, and let's heal our future and not harm it. Until next time, this is the Kris Gethin Podcast. Please do subscribe. Please do to share with others who may benefit from this. And I will speak to y'all next week. We are out.